Another year, another new hero type. Emblem rings weren't enough for Enchanted Systems, so the next new hero type they're adding is called Aided Heroes. Aided Reginn will be the first, and her aid is that little floating ball. Like previous hero types, Aided Heroes are meant to give you a bonus for summoning them. Every time you summon one Aided Hero, you will get one Aid's Essence. You can give Aid's Essence to any other hero, and this simply grants them a +1 stat boost to every category, including HP. You can only use Aid's Essence one time per unit, and the stat boost is not included for arena scoring. Think of Aided Heroes as like a sort of continuation of the Ascended Hero gimmick. Ascended Heroes give you an item to let a unit pick 2 boons. Aided Heroes give a general +1 stat boost. The big difference is that unlike Ascended Florets, you get unlimited Aid's Essence. If you summon 10 Aided Reginns, you get 10 Aid's Essence. Now to further sweeten the deal, Aid's Essence lets you equip Aid accessories. When you summon a new Aided Hero, they will give you access to their Aid, which is a cosmetic accessory. Any unit with Aid's Essence can equip Reginn's little robot drone, and in the future, you can equip other Aid accessories assuming you summon said Aided Hero. Unlike the Emblem Rings, you can use the same accessory on multiple units. I'm sure they'll be fun to see as we get more Aided Heroes. Now, what do Aided Heroes themselves bring to the table? First off, they come automatically with the +1 stat boost. Again, this does not affect arena scoring. Aided Heroes cannot use other Aid accessories, but they can equip regular accessories. Next, very important to understand, I'm fairly certain Aided Heroes are not kept while skill inheriting. They are not like rearmed or attuned heroes. I am also not sure if you need to keep one copy of an Aided Hero to use their Aid accessory. I don't think you do, but double check if that's important to you. Last up, because you can get unlimited Aid's Essence every time you summon an Aided Hero, they will be limited time units like rearmed, attuned, etc. Ascended Heroes may only give 1 floret per each individual character, but they are permanent 5-star additions. You cannot just get lucky to randomly get this new Reginn in the future. Like rearmed or attuned heroes, you can only get Aided Heroes if they are the focus of a banner. Overall, I don't really have any strong feelings toward Aided Heroes. Obviously the devs feel obligated to introduce a new hero type for whatever reason. The +1 stat boost is not exactly game breaking compared to say an Emblem Ring, but I'm perfectly fine with less huge jumps of power creeping features. I think adding more limited time ults is not great for new hero banners, but obviously we're running out of new characters to add, hence the multiple special ults being present. Hopefully the accessories are cool. I would like to ask for a Sami aid, that would tempt me to spend orbs for sure. Onto the actual new banner, Aided Reginn will be joining the Solm characters from Engage. Following Panette's early debut, Attuned Timerra will lead the way along with Fogado and Merrin. We'll talk about everyone's stats and skills, plus discuss general playstyle and build ideas. Before we talk about our banner lineup, we have an instant demote because Reginn's stealing a spot. Not to be left out, Pandreo will be debuting as well. You can get 2 5-star copies via quest, however Pandreo will join the 3 to 4-star demo pool starting next month with the Halloween banner. If you want extra copies, you're gonna have to wait a bit before you start praying for him. Unfortunately, unlike his sister, Pandreo will not get a unique weapon, and the devs are too afraid to add brawling, so he's gonna be a demon infantry healer. Typically not the most exciting, but we'll make do. For stats, Pandreo has 40 HP, 43 attack, 40 speed, 18 defense, and 47 res. Pandreo definitely leaning toward that priest mage spread with the awful base defense, but extremely high resistance. He isn't beating Little Lucius, but 47 is still very good, and Pandreo will have somewhat decent at speed and attack. Certainly can be a fun battle clerk, but definitely gonna go down to anything physical. For his kit, Pandreo has no new skills. Respite Plus is a drive guard staff with +2 defense and res tacked on. Martyr Plus heals more if the healer's hurt, and Drive Res 2 is an old classic that stacks with Respite. Not new, but this is the first unit with the base Fireflood Bomb, +4 attack and res to all allies when healing someone. This can help get you to the plus version. An exciting fodder skill from Pandreo is defense and res finish 3, the +6 defense won't save him, but for others this is a super easy to use stat booster and a free to play way to get to the tier 4. Pandreo would definitely rather have speed and res finish, but they already gave that to Yulia. Usually colorless ain't the best demote pool, but some tier 3 finish skills certainly makes those random summons a lot more fun. In terms of playstyle, Pandreo's not really going to offer anything new as a demote healer. On the free-to-play side, Little Lucius exists for high-res usage, and you could use this for something like ploy support if you stack flat resistance. That's a fairly basic backline option. If you want to use Respite, it stacks with Drive Res, and you can stack on a Driver Spur Sacred Seal. Joint Drive Res or Distance/Close Guard would be fine to go with the guard support. For Journal Beastka options, Wrathful plus Dazzling Staff is the go-to to keep healers safe and give them full damage. Pandreo can use Dazzling Discord from Loki since that does require a res check. If you get the Tina combat manual in the Divine Code shop, she has Wrathful Tempo, Infantry Pulse 4, Attack and Speed Ideal 4, Nudge Plus, and Holy Pressure. Pandreo can pretty much use any of those skills, and you can mix and match any combo of healer assist and specials. Magic Shield from young Merrin is the most unique since it gives an extra action, plus it can buff allies. If you run something like Arcane Charmer and Infantry Pulse 4, then Pandreo can fire off the 2 cooldown Holy Light specials. This banner introduces Time's Pulse Echo, which can be pretty fun for a healer, instant bomb specials every turn, possible pre-charge the 3 cooldown damage specials, or if you want to get spicy, you can supercharge up Miracle. In fact, healers can run Lagoo's Friend. I don't think it's optimal, but you can get Miracle to 2 cooldown with stuff like Arcane Charmer and the Mart, Time's Pulse 4, and now Time's Pulse Echo. Lagoo's Friend will give the last -2 instant cooldown, so that could be fun. For more fun skills, Pandreo can go full Battle Priest with DR piercing skills. You can use No Follow-Up 4, Tempo 4, or even Resonance. Obviously, you'll have no Dazzling Staff for protection, but if you wanted some respectable damage, then this is an option. Even Desperation 4 can replace Dazzling Staff if you think Nelsie Disrupt is just too common. Besides Arcane Charmer, Summer Lara Shell's Seaside Parasol is the next best damage staff, and Yulia's Sunlight Plus staff is the same weapon. Those inheritables also inflict a guard status. For some actual support effects, Infantry No Follow-Up 4 can provide No Follow-Up and Warping for Pandreo. Oath 4 and Wings of Mercy Echo also give Warping. If you just wanted some simple field buffs, the Tier 4 Wave skills have 2 space range, but any Hone of Fortify can do the job. Odd or Even Recovery works for some passive healing with the Penalty Cleanse. Overall, Pandreo is just another D-mode healer, but he at least has some options. You got multiple support specialties, and if you want, there are damage skills at the cost of Dazzling Staff safety. All in all, not the worst fate for a D-mode healer. Onto our first actual banner unit, Merrin's here as our very first Wolf Knight, and instead of being one of the actual canon Dagger Cavalry classes, they decided to make her a Sword Cavalier. I think that's a shame, to be honest. Regardless, for stats, Merrin has 39 HP, 45 attack, 47 speed, 36 defense, and 23 res. She has a speed super boon, and this is the fairly standard offensive spread with a higher defense than res focus. For ult skills, Merrin has the best skill in the game, Reposition. She will use it well. Merrin also is the second unit with even attack wave N. Reminder, tier 4 waves always give the field buffs each turn, and it's a 2 space range. For this skill, if Merrin has higher attack than the foe, she gets a mini finish ASCO effect. 5 true damage per hit, with 5 healing on hit. For her weapon, Suave or Suave Blade, it looks like Merrin has Engage's Steel Sword. This 16-might weapon states if a rally or movement assist is used by or targets Merrin, then grant the 50% DR piercing status and the bonus doubler status to Merrin and that ally for 1 turn. If Merrin's the one to use their assist, she gets an extra action. For combat, Merrin has Slang, and if she initiates or is within 2 spaces of an ally, she gets bonus stats equal to 5 plus the number of allies within 3 rows or 3 columns, times 3. If there are 3 allies in the range, Merrin can get up to plus 14 to all stats. In addition, Merrin has full no follow-up effects and gets flat damage reduction for first attacks, with an S equal to the number of active positive status effects, times 3. Merrin would need 5 statuses for the 15 flat DR max. Suave Blade lets Merrin join the Elysians and their extra action shenanigans. You can use rallies, but Merrin has reposition and her B skill fits movement skills. Merrin wants to always use her assist skill because she can handle a 50% DR piercing status and bonus doubler. The DR pierce probably is a reference to her personal skill which grants bonus hit rate. Now, Merrin's base kit has 3 statuses for 9 flat DR. For the full 15, you're going to need some other help. Since Merrin has an extra action, she will come with Speed and Defense Link 4. If a movement assist is used by unit or target's unit, grant plus 6 Speed and Defense field buffs and Conto 1 to the unit and ally for 1 turn. In combat, inflict minus 4 attack and speed on the enemy. Unit gains true damage equal to the highest total of Speed plus Defense field buffs among the user and allies with Conto 1. I believe this is the second tier 4 Link B skill. Like Duo Robin, Merrin ideally wants to reposition, buff up speed and defense, Conto, and her weapons buffs, then go attack in the same turn. This is a fine buffing option for non-extra action units since you can get Conto 1 to move after. On someone like Sedet who is a flyer, this can help set up stuff like Guidance Warping. In general though, Merrin can use this skill to buff an attack, which is nice, plus it plays into Suave Blade's buffs. For the true damage portion, if Merrin's field buffs get neutralized, she can borrow from the ally she repositioned. That generally means plus 12 true damage for any fight. For general playstyle, Merrin is an offensive sword cav with some fun support perks. She really wants to use reposition or any movement assist / rally because this gets Merrin the extra action. For boss, she can handle 50% DR piercing, bonus doubler, and Kanto 1, with even attack wave, and Merrin buffs everything but resistance, and that's going to get doubled in combat. For her own fights, Merrin has no follow-up to go with her piercing. She also can get 17 true damage. Speed and Defense Link gives plus 12, even attack wave gives plus 5, assuming she wins the attack check, plus you got the healing portion too. She may not have percent DR, but Merrin gets up to 15 flat DR from her weapon. This will require 5 statuses though. You can add some extra flat DR via Excel A skills. If you want to shift Merrin's support to a more defensive formation, Rally plus Ruse may be better. You can set up Ruse debuffs in multiple lanes by rallying twice a turn. Anyone that moves or rallies Merrin can also proc Ruse and Suave Blade. Ruse isn't that bad for offensive moves either, but with movement assist, Merrin can bring allies forward, or she can close the gap with something like Swap or Pivot. Definitely room to play around with different skills. For fun, you can use Wings of Mercy from across the map to save allies by repositioning twice, or Merrin can use her extra action to snipe a target. For other combat skills, Merrin is fine with Clash, Catch, or Solo stat boosters. Flared Sparrow can set up Flame Tiles to restrict movement to sort of emulate Hobble. In the B slot, if you got other field buffs or Kanto sources, Merrin can go for Potent for percent DR, plus the extra attack. Desperation can sting with the DR piercing, and even though she has no follow-up, I'll still say Flow Guard 4 isn't a terrible choice, just for Scout. In the C slot, Insight or Alarm can buff 2 stats for bonus doubler, plus the Incited or Kanto status would add to Suave Blade's flat DR. If you want to run Prime 4, these skills can give that 4th status on top of Suave Blade and Link 4. Last but not least, Gale Force is always an option for more actions. Merrin almost certainly would need Heavy Blade, good chance for a Breath type cooldown status though. Overall, Merrin is another buffing Cavalier, but she does get the extra action, so she can go on the offensive. Being able to apply Link or Ruse then act again is nice, and Merrin has some good statuses pretty much anyone would appreciate. Fun unit, though if we get more Wolf Knights, I want to see them with a knife next time. Our next unit is Fogado, the younger Prince of Solm. He is a rare mechanic we don't see too often. Fogado is a Greenbow Cavalier with 38 HP, 45 attack, 47 speed, 25 defense, and 30 res. He has speed and defense super boons, and that's a very nice offensive stat spread. For old skills, Fogado has Luna and Flared Sparrow. Not great against Breath of Life, but Flame Tiles can still mess up movement. Fogado's Sentinel Bow, I believe, is the Engage Silver Bow, although his in-game sprite has a fancier version. This 4-timid weapon denies the enemy from using any specials if Fogado initiates or the foe is ranged. That's a super strong effect. It then has accelerated specials, and if Fogado initiates or the foe is ranged, he gets bonus stats equal to 5 plus 15% of his speed at start of combat. In addition, Fogado has 50% DR piercing, full no follow-up, 70% DR for first attacks with an S, and then his next counterattack gets empowered with the damage to reduced from any source. Fogado's personal skill inflicted -10 crit after fighting an enemy. Let's just say it's a super enhanced version of that in Fae. Fogado is basically here to spite the new Fjorm. Not only does he turn off her defensive special plus shield fighter combo, he also empowers his own counters too. This is why I assume he's green, because regularly scheduled reminder that a Red Bow Cavalier still doesn't exist after like 6 years. Now, Fogado also challenges all those Lagu's friend units because, like Fjorm, their DR piercing comes from special activations. No specials means no DR pierce, and it's going to be very hard to KO Fogado through 70% DR. On top of this, he has good speed with no follow-up and his own DR piercing. To rein Fogado back in a little, Sentinel Bow doesn't work for close counter. Reach him in melee range for easy pickings, or for range units, you can bring your own on-hit DR piercing effects like from Merrin. For Fogado's inheritable B skill, he will bring speed and defense for choice 4, enable Kanto remaining with a minimum of Kanto 1, inflict -4 speed and defense in combat, and deal 7 true damage on hit, even for AoE specials. Not much else to add, this is just another tier 4 Kanto B skill. Kanto 1 guaranteed is nice since it works with warping. If you want the tier 3, Wind Tribe Catcher is very cheap in the Divine Code's Normal 5 shop. Fogado may be a very annoying unit to face, just like Lucia. If you rely on specials too much, then Sentinel Bow just completely counters those tactics, and if you don't have on-hit DR piercing, then it might be tough to get through 70% damage reduction. Fogado gets a fair amount of bonus stats, but he isn't going to be taking no damage. He would be quite fun with something like set its flat DR support, but you could also use Fogado for low HP tactics with something like, say, Double Fury. Use the 70% DR to lose HP without dying, then let Fury Recall do the rest to set up something like Wings of Mercy. If you prefer to not kill over as quickly, Fogado can make use of the new Curved Shot from Brony, potentially 40% unpierceable DR, although this would mainly just be useful if the enemy had their own pierce on basic attacks. It is a solid 2-cooldown special though, since Sentinel Bow has its own DR pierce built in, but you could run Deadeye if you wanted. For the rest of his kit, Fogado wants to outspeed with no follow-up to double. This can let him unleash his empowered reflected damage, assuming he tanks up basic. Flurried Sparrow lets the instant damage, and the Flame Tiles can be hid behind with Fire Trace 4. You can run disruptive skills like Defensive Smoke for Pathfinder, Fatal Smoke for anti-healing, or even Fuse skills just to spite certain blue units even more. For other beast skills, you can run Far Trace Echo, since it's the same conto as Far Trace 4. That would let Fogado run something like Assassin Strike, Low Speed and Defense, or Wind and Water Sweep. That could be pretty annoying with stuff like Savage Blow. For Sacred Seals, more attack and speed is fine, but Squad Ace's 5 HP can help with the 70% DR. Desperation can be used for later fights, and Heavy Blade is needed for higher cooldown specials. If Fogado doesn't die, he might be able to charge up his own AoE, or maybe in something like Miracle. In conclusion, Fogado really challenges foes who rely on specials for DR piercing, and obviously he completely stifles defensive specials as well. He might not have the craziest killing power, especially if the foe has unpierceable DR, but if he doesn't die, then he can set up other options for his team. Very fun weapon. I was expecting more anti-defensive special effects perhaps, but Fogado denying all specials is pretty wild. Our last main Engage Royal is Princess Timerra. She will be an attuned hero with her lance having some inspiration from Fogado. Timerra is a lance infantry with 40 HP, 34 attack, 47 speed, 47 defense, and 31 res. Defense super boon is no surprise, but it comes at the cost of having less attack than the most recent free dancer. 34 base attack on a combative unit is almost disgustingly bad for modern times. Timerra's Halloween ult had 7 more base attacks, so essentially she's given that up to raise her HP and res instead. There is a reason for the very unusual stat spread. For old skills, Timerra's here to remind everyone that Emblem Ike's ring was Solm's to protect. She has Lagu's Friend 4, and just in case that wasn't spicy enough, she has the partner pairing Breath of Life 4 as well. Timerra's very high base defense can grant a lot of healing. For her Desert Spear, Timerra straight up has Bulwark to obstruct enemies from getting around her. For her allies within 3 spaces, she grants +4 speed and defense in combat, and 10 flat DR against enemy specials. For Timerra, she has Distant Counter and Slaying. If within 3 spaces of an ally, Timerra gets bonus stats equal to 5 plus 15% of her defense stat from start of combat. She neutralizes the foe's field buffs and also has the 10 flat DR against enemy special procs. Some interesting utility from Timerra. Her Halloween ult employed guard and +1 cooldown, but only in certain situations. She has given up on the guard part and will give 10 flat DR against specials instead. Not sure if that's worth it, but you can stack this with Excel and Divine Vein Stone for some potentially disgusting levels of flat DR. Fortifications also works here. Her Halloween ult gave speed and defense field buffs, but that has now become +4 in combat buffs instead. For her own combat, Timerra has taken Ike's Ragnar for Distant Counter. She has Slaying, gains stats based on her high flat defense stat, and neutralizes enemy field buffs, which is always good. Timerra also has the same 10 flat DR against specials. A little bit of everything in this weapon. For her unique special, Timerra has Sandstorm, which is her Picket class's unique skill. It basically is the exact same in Fae. Sandstorm is a 4 cooldown Ignis special, 80% defense is scaling for extra damage. However, instead of using the attack stat to calculate base damage, Timerra is going to use 150% of her defense stat instead. This means if Timerra had something like 60 defense, she would use 1.5 times 60 for 90 quote-unquote replacement attack. You could use 90 minus the foe's defense stat for base damage, and then you add the Ignis damage on top. Yeah, that's why Timerra has terrible base attack, because she doesn't plan to use it. For the rest of his special, Timerra has the same unpierceable % DR effect as Emblem Ike or recently Brave Alphonse. Basically, if her special is charged up, she gets 40% unpierceable DR. If it's on 1 cooldown, she gets 30%. If it's on 3 cooldown, then she gets the minimum 10%. Finally, Sandstorm also grants a similar effect to Frozen. If Timerra has higher defense than the foe, she increases the speed roll for the foe to make it fall up by the difference in defense, up to a max of 10. She also lowers her own speed roll to make it fall up by the same amount. For example, if Timerra has 10 or more defense, she only needs to be within 5 speed of the enemy to double them. The enemy would need 15 or more speed to double her. This special is very interesting since I think this is the first time a unit uses something other than attack to calculate base damage. Timerra is going to go all in on huge Sandstorm nukes, so hopefully she doesn't face any green archers who deny any and all specials. Regarding the % DR part, keep in mind Timerra has some weaknesses here. If the foe attacks and she counters with Sandstorm but doesn't get the KO, its cooldown goes back to 3. This means if the foe follows up, Timerra only has 10% DR. Emblem Ike forces the foe to use all their attacks before this situation occurs, and Alphonse's special is only ever on 1 cooldown to avoid these issues. Timerra may be fast and can increase the speed rule, but guess who doesn't have no follow-up? Something to keep in mind if you're facing those slow tanky units. Normally, Timerra's Sandstorm will go down to 1 cooldown after Lagoo's friend kicks in. Well, to get that last cooldown charge, Timerra's attuned skill is Times Pulse Echo. No trade-offs or balancing, this is literally Times Pulse 4. At start of turn, if specials at max cooldown value, grant -1 cooldown. After combat, if specials at max cooldown value, grant -1 cooldown. TP4 is mainly used to loop specials for back-to-back fighting in one phase. For example, the typical Lagoo's friend plus Emblem Ike ring setup requires Times Pulse. The 3 cooldown offensive specials start at 2 cooldown, then get charged by Lagoo's friend, and this activates Ike's percent DR before getting hit. Using Times Pulse takes up that C slot where you could run something else like Breath of Life. Now you can run both. Times Pulse does stack with itself if you want -2 cooldown every fight, and it's an exceptional pairing with Creation Pulse. The instant cooldown can counteract Scowl to preserve the pre-charging from Times Pulse. Overall, this is another cooldown source. If you do try to run higher cooldown specials, this is where multiple levels of Scowl can be strong. Against Timerra, even if Lagoo's friend was to ready Sandstorm, something like double or triple Scowl will cause her percent DR to lower as well if she gets hit by follow. Last new skill from Timerra will be Speed and Defense Finish 4. If unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grant +7 speed and defense, and if specials are ready or have triggered, then grant +5 true damage and 7 HP healing on hit. This is the last finish variant, and it's still a solid all-arounder if you can charge specials quickly. Since the true damage and healing are on hit, ideally want to attack as much as possible. Follow-up attacks, brave attacks, even potent follow-ups are excellent to have. For the most part, we've gone through Timerra's game plan. If you know how Lagoo's friend functions and you know how Emblem Ike's percent DR works, then it's pretty much the same though. Timerra has some bigger weaknesses. With Times Plus Echo, she can ready Sandstorm after Lagoo's friend's instant cooldown, and this Sandstorm Ignis proc will use 150% of her defense stat instead of attack. That is incredible. Plus, this is Timerra's DR piercing method as well. If this gets scaled, she is doing no damage, and in cases where Sandstorm goes back to 3 cooldown, then she only has 10% DR plus the flat DR from Lagoo's friend. This can happen if Timerra doesn't get a KO and the foe follows up. She has a Frozen-esque speed roll increase for having higher defense, but that means literally nothing if she doesn't have no follow-up to counter free follow-up skills. That would be a good Secret Seal addition just to cover your bases, though you can run Squad Ace for extra HP or maybe Hardy Baron. For her base kit, Lagoo's friend is basically a must keep, but you can exchange out Finisher Breath of Life if you already had another user on the team. For example, Creation Pulse is a very spicy addition to the Lagoo's friend builds. Not only can it counteract Scowl, but it gives Timerra player phase threat. Normally, Sandstorm would be on 2 cooldown with Times Pulse, so if Creation Pulse is fully active, it grants -2 cooldown before attacking, and thus the very rude Sandstorm nuke goes off. Breath of Life is so stupid, but Creation Pulse to rally Spectrum type effects definitely would be good competitors. For other skills, you could literally copy Emblem Ike with Contour Control. We now have a way to get Nelsie Disrupt support via the new Ice Tribe Felicia. That would be pretty nasty, and basically any Lagoo's friend abuser can now theoretically run Breath of Life 4, Times Pulse 4, and Nelsie Disrupt all at the same time. That's kinda gross. Now, for the A slot, Finish is good, but Timerra can heal via Breath of Life, and you can instead stack Flat DR with Excel or Fortifications. Fortifications is interesting because Desert Spear plus the Divine Vein Stone could give the whole team 20 Flat DR against specials. Considering Timerra has Bulwark, there is a possibility where she just holds down an area, and then even if foes reach your other units, if they're on the Divine Vein Stone, specials essentially lose 20 damage. This is another instance where stacking copies of a unit could be kinda dumb. Imagine 3 Timerras just negating 30 damage from any special, maybe throw in a set it or 2. Overall, Attuned Timerra is very cool. She does need allies, but she has Bulwark and Breath of Life to just keep on fighting. She basically does not care about attack at all, however this means not proccing Sandstorm basically kills any KO potential. I don't think he's gonna kill her essentially, but Fogado denying his sister's big special gimmick is certainly an annoyance only a sibling can pull off. Last unit for today is Aided Reginn. You're going to need to get her if you want a fancy aid accessory plus the bonus stats. This Reginn is a Lance Cavalier. For stats she has 41 HP, 46 attack, 48 speed, 38 defense, and 22 res. Reginn has a speed super boom, and I do want to point out that this stat spread includes her own +1 stat boost. Because you can't remove these stats, I'm going to include them, but Reginn actually has the same BST as other Gen 9 melee calves. Now, for old skills, Reginn has Attack and Speed Excel, and this skill I'll never stop talking about, Flow Guard 4. This is the second opportunity to get this Guard plus Scout option for non-dragons. It's almost like we just talked about a unit whose solo relies on her special to do damage. Without other cooldown effects, Fogado 4 can ignore special counters, assuming the enemy doesn't double. For her weapon, we saw Diverger Wayfinder in the Tempest Trials. For 4 turns, Reginn gets Kanto Distance +2, up to a max of Kanto 5. For 4 turns, she grants +4 attack and speed and -1 instant cooldown before their first attacks to allies within 3 rows or 3 columns. They must be using an offensive special though. For her own combat, Reginn has Sling. If above 25% HP, she gets bonus stats equal to 5 plus the number of allies within 3 rows or 3 columns, times 3. 3 allies in range can get her +14 to all stats. Reginn has 20% speed as true damage per hit, she has 40% DR against first attacks with an S, and her special procs have full DR piercing. Aided Reginn will enable allies from across the map, but only for 4 turns. Same for her new Kanto, so you gotta act fast. Combat-wise, Reginn has the usual slang, % DR, and some true damage. She is once again going for big specials, this time with DR piercing included. Reginn's new Sather Burst special is a pretty big upgrade, I would say. 3 cooldown special that now scales off 50% speed instead of a set 20 damage. As usual, Reginn has adaptive damage for this hit. From turns 1 through 4, Reginn will get -2 instant cooldown before every attack she makes. If any special is ready, she also gets 40% DR for the next hit taken. Sather Burst can be stopped by Scowl, but unless we got a melee version of Fallen Veil, her follow-up will proc the special. If enemies don't bring Scowl, Reginn can just get 2 Sather Burst procs when doubling. If she has Desperation, then she can do this back to back. If Reginn has to take a hit, 40% unpierceable DR will stack with her 40% from her weapon, and then Excel adds some flat DR on top. Overall, pretty scary upgrade, more damage, adaptive damage, DR piercing, and potentially 2 procs that Guard does not stop. The last new skill for today is Shadow Shift 4. This is a new C-slot skill line, usable by Cavaliers and Flyers. When Kanto triggers, enables the unit to use reposition on an ally. This is not counted as an assist skill, and this is not a reposition status you're going to keep after. This is a new mechanic. For combat, Shadow Shift grants +3 stats and heals some HP after combat, however you must be within 3 spaces of an ally. For Cavaliers who move 3 spaces, you might not activate these combat perks, so keep that in mind. Shadow Shift 4 is basically another way to get an extra action, just in the form of reposition, and obviously requires Kanto. Very powerful ability, but it's not an assist skill, so you can't trigger stuff like Merrin's boss. However, because of this feature, it means you can Shadow Shift Brave Felix, and Lone Wolf is not going to be disturbed. That's pretty nasty, and for a mode like Summoner Duels, having a reposition to push more allies forward is a bit strong. If you have Kanto Dancers, they can dance an ally, Kanto and reposition another one all in one go. Maybe the Heron Dancers can do some crazy things if you add Soaring Echo to the mix. Overall, potentially scary new C skill, it's basically an extra action in disguise, and well, that's just powerful no matter what. For Journal playstyle, Aided Reginn aids her team with 4 turns of instant cooldown support. Very fun, but you gotta act quick. With Shadow Shift and a movement assist, Reginn can ferry multiple allies pretty far if you need to get in position. After turn 4, she loses a lot of power, so Reginn very much wants some high mobility allies. For her own combat, Reginn's Sather Burst will self-charge with -2 instant cooldown. She can be stopped by Scowl, but she also gets -2 cooldown before follow-ups. This means double specials are possible, and to survive counters, Reginn has Fogado 4 for the guard and Scowl effects. It also gives no follow-up, so she can use her good speed to double. If hit, Reginn has 40% DR from her weapon and 40% unpierceable DR via Sather Burst. Excel adds flat DR to stack with, and Reginn has okay defense to take a hit. Do need to watch out for magic damage though. For the most part, very solid base kit. If you want to make changes, Flared Sparrow or Fortifications could be fun. Flow Desperation could set up back-to-back Sather Burst, but that's only been on Tea-Time Iris so far. If you want to use something like Odd Speed Wave for no follow-up, then Potent or Brash Assault could be used, although I think Fogado 4 is just too good to pass up on. Now, if Shadow Shift isn't useful to you, you could use Reginn's large contour range for Pathfinder via Defense from Smoke. If you want to be plot relevant, pair Reginn with Mythic Dagger as a support. Free Pathfinder out of the gate. I do find it funny that despite her heavy mobility niche, Reginn has the normal 3 movement. Meanwhile, Alphonse and Sharena just get 4 movement on their Cav ults because why not? If we get Emblem Sigurd though, well, that could change. I honestly just expect this ring to be +1 movement. For the moment though, Emblem Mart's rings would let Sather Burst counteract 1 layer Scowl, so that's not a bad option. All in all, Aided Reginn wants to get things going as soon as possible. You can try to run something like Gale Force, but all of Reginn's cooldown is put into her unique special for big burst damage. Reginn can help other initiators with her instant cooldown support, but it's not going to work on Gale Force, so no super crazy Gale Force enabling. Of course, if you have Brave Felix, well, you don't even need the help. If you see Shadow Shift and Felix, be prepared, because he's going to be at your doorstep. For some neat cooldown teams, Reginn and Harmonic Nephany can give -2 instant cooldown. Similar idea with Rally Spectrum Robins. You then of course have Reginn and Nidavellir. Just be sure to act quickly. That's all I got for this long breakdown. 5 new units, a new hero type, and some pretty neat new mechanics. I think it's cool that we got a unit who is basically tanking their attack stat, but can still dish out some huge nuking specials. Now, next up, Marnie is the upcoming Grand Hero Battle unit, and boy, it's pretty clear that the devs are fans of the 4 Hounds. Let's just say, Marnie may have brought over one of the emblem rings used often in Engage. Good luck if you're summoning, and have fun giving aids to everyone. I will see you in the next video.